Hey everyone, welcome back to Reliable Prepper. Today we're diving into a topic that doesn't always get the attention it deserves. How to cover long distances without any kind of automobile in a crisis situation, or what we like to call an SHTF scenario. Think about it. If fuel shortages, roadblocks, EMPs, or natural disasters make your car useless, do you have a backup plan? Are you prepared to travel 50, 100, or even 200 miles if you have to, without relying on modern transportation? Because in a real emergency, our usual options could disappear overnight, and having a way to travel safely and efficiently without gas or electricity could be a literal lifesaver. Now, if you find value in this kind of content, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe if you're new here, and follow us on Facebook for more prepping tips. This video is going to cover a lot of ground, literally and figuratively, with essential strategies, tools, and ideas to keep you prepared for anything. Before we dive into the how, let's think about the why. Why would you find yourself in a situation where cars or trucks just aren't an option? If you're still undecided about planning for non-motorized travel, let's walk through a few realistic worst-case scenarios that could make this skill essential. Imagine a situation where fuel shortages hit hard. It might start gradually, with gas prices climbing little by little, but then suddenly, they spike out of control. Gas stations run dry, delivery trucks stop running, and all of a sudden, the infrastructure we depend on daily is at a standstill. Now, picture roads clogged with abandoned cars and people stranded without a way to reach their destination because they never thought of alternative ways to get from point A to point B. If you can't rely on a car, then what's the plan? Or take a scenario where we're hit by an EMP or large-scale cyber attack that wipes out the grid entirely. This wouldn't just mean a gas shortage, it'd be a total technological blackout. Imagine anything with modern electronics is suddenly fried: phones, power systems, even vehicles that rely on complex electronics. In a blink, millions could find themselves without transportation or communication, cut off from family and resources. In a situation like that, only transport options that don't rely on electricity or electronics will keep you moving. Then, there's the kind of situation we can all picture, a massive natural disaster that just devastates infrastructure. A powerful earthquake, a hurricane, or a wildfire could destroy roads and bridges, flood highways, or leave debris scattered everywhere. Bridges could be down, tunnels blocked, neighborhoods cut off. The kind of scenario where vehicles can't even make it through. To reach safety or reconnect with loved ones, you'd need to be ready to go on foot, by bike, or using any other form of non-motorized transportation. And consider one more possibility: civil unrest. Large-scale unrest could lead to martial law, with curfews, checkpoints, and roadblocks set up across cities or entire regions. Especially in high-population areas, authorities might restrict movement, or even monitor who's traveling and where they're going. This isn't just inconvenient, it's potentially dangerous. If things get this tense, moving quietly and avoiding detection becomes critical. Here, stealthy, self-reliant modes of transport might be the only way to safely navigate an area or leave without confrontation. If you're moving without a car, reliable non-motorized transport can be a huge asset. Each option has unique pros and cons, so it's all about choosing what best fits your situation, terrain, and resources. Let's look at a few solid options and what makes each one effective. First up, electric bikes. These are popular in the prepping world because they offer extra speed and don't need gasoline. Quiet and efficient, they're ideal for covering ground with minimal effort. With a solar charging setup, you can keep going without depending on the grid, and features like regenerative braking capture some energy to extend your range. Just remember, electric bikes rely on batteries, so a power source, like a solar charger, is essential. For night travel, consider a red light or low light headlamp for safer navigation that keeps you inconspicuous. Next, manual bikes are a simple, reliable choice. They don't need recharging, are generally lighter, and are easy to repair. A fat tire bike is especially useful for handling rough or varied terrain like gravel, sand, or mud. Adding a bike trailer distributes gear weight without putting strain on your back, letting you carry essentials like water, tools, or food. For stealth, choose low-profile colors and use scent-free, non-reflective lubricants to keep the bike quiet and undetectable. If biking isn't an option, walking is always available. Covering long distances on foot requires physical endurance and stamina, so keep a steady pace and follow a rhythm to avoid exhaustion. A good approach is to set a tempo, like walking for 45 minutes and resting for 10. For quiet movement, match your steps with ambient sounds like wind or animal noises and use terrain contouring to blend into the landscape. Practice stepping softly by placing the outside edge of your foot down first, rolling inward. This helps reduce noise, keeps you grounded, and minimizes fatigue. Let's not overlook animal transport, like horses, donkeys, or mules, which can also be a huge asset, especially in rural or rugged areas. Animals are well suited to varied terrains and can carry significantly more gear than you could on foot, which is invaluable on long journeys. However, using animals requires care and attention. They need food, water, and rest, and it's worth training them to move calmly and follow basic commands. A strong bond with your animal will help, especially in stressful environments. Consider hybrid travel, alternating between walking and riding to give your animal rest while conserving your own energy. In challenging areas, walking alongside your animal as it carries supplies can be safer and easier for both of you. If you're relying on an electric bike or other gear that needs charging, a reliable power source is crucial, and solar chargers are often the best option. Look for portable, efficient, and practical setups suited for long-distance travel. Lightweight, foldable solar panels are ideal for easy transport and setup. Consider panels designed to work even in low-light conditions, since perfect sunlight isn't always guaranteed, especially during unpredictable weather. Multi-angle panels or flexible models that adjust with the sun's position can maximize your charging efficiency throughout the day. And dual charging options allow you to charge a battery bank and device simultaneously, making the most of available sunlight. Pair your panels with a weather-resistant, thermally regulated battery bank that can handle harsh conditions and has enough capacity for multiple charges. If possible, carry more than one battery bank and rotate between them. This way, one can be charging while the other is in use. Fast-charging battery banks are a smart choice too, giving you more power in less time, which is helpful if you have limited sun exposure. Consider camouflage for your solar gear, choosing non-reflective, matte finishes to avoid drawing attention, especially in open areas. Even a small glint can be spotted from a distance. Maintenance is important. Regularly inspect cords and connectors, carry electrical tape for quick fixes, and keep a soft cloth for dust and moisture. Unscented gentle cleaners are ideal to avoid leaving any detectable scent on your gear. Remember, solar charging can be impacted by clouds, low light in winter, or the need for shade, so try to keep your batteries topped off proactively. Knowing your gear's limitations, preparing for potential downtime, and staying ahead of your energy needs can make all the difference in an emergency. With the right setup and planning, you'll be ready to power through even unpredictable conditions. Route planning is one of the most critical steps, especially when you're out there without reliable transportation. A carefully mapped route can help you avoid unnecessary risks and increase your chances of getting to your destination safely. Let's dive into some strategies to make sure you get where you need to go without running into trouble. The biggest piece of advice I can give here is to avoid major roads and highways. In a crisis, these areas can quickly become bottlenecks filled with abandoned cars, people, or roadblocks. They're also more likely to be monitored or controlled by authorities or other groups, which can lead to delays or even dangerous encounters. Instead, look for back roads, trails, or even game trails if you're in a rural area. These routes are typically less populated and can give you more flexibility to move unnoticed. If you have access to a drone capable of thermal imaging maps, use it. They're incredibly helpful for avoiding populated areas, as they can reveal heat sources and help you find paths that offer natural camouflage, like wooded trails or areas with dense vegetation. When it comes to resupplying water and food, natural sources will be your best bet. If you're traveling through rural areas, rivers, streams, and lakes can be great sources of water, but it's essential to remember that they aren't guaranteed to be clean. Always have a reliable filtration system on hand. If you're familiar with phytoremediation, using plants like water hyacinths that can naturally filter out some contaminants is another option. For food, understanding migratory bird paths can be a major advantage. Birds follow predictable routes, often aligning with water sources, which can make it easier to find food and water along your way. These paths can also serve as natural navigation markers if you're crossing unfamiliar terrain. Don't forget that safety checkpoints should be a key part of your plan. When moving over long distances, the last thing you want is to run out of supplies. Setting up cache points along your route ahead of time can give you backup options if you lose or use up your main supplies. These caches should include essentials like food, water, and maybe even some basic medical supplies. Make sure they're well hidden using camouflage netting, rocks, or natural foliage to blend in with the environment. Spacing these checkpoints strategically along your route ensures you won't have to carry everything at once and can rely on these hidden supplies if needed. Now, let's get into the essential gear you'll need if you're traveling long distances without a vehicle. In an SHTF scenario, having the right equipment is about more than just comfort. It can be the difference between life and death. Every piece of gear needs to serve a purpose, and ideally, it should be lightweight and multi-purpose wherever possible. Starting with water filtration and storage, like I just mentioned, is something you absolutely cannot skip. You're going to need a way to access and purify water consistently. A gravity filter is one of the best options here. Unlike pump filters, a gravity filter doesn't require a lot of effort to use. You just fill it up, hang it, and let gravity do the work. That can save you a lot of energy on a long journey. Collapsible water containers are also great for travel. They're light when empty and can expand to hold a lot of water when you need it. Just remember to refill every chance you get, and always be on the lookout for water sources along your route, especially if you're not sure where your next refill spot might be. Next up is shelter and concealment. If you're traveling on foot or by bike, you're not going to be hauling a big tent or anything heavy. A bivy sack or ultralight tent is perfect for quick shelter setups. These keep you covered and insulated without adding too much weight to your pack. Now, to stay hidden, consider using camouflage netting around your shelter. This netting helps you blend into your surroundings and keeps you out of sight from anyone who might be passing by. It's also worth setting up shelter in places that provide natural cover, like under trees or near rocks. A lightweight tarp can also be helpful, as it's versatile for sheltering in various weather conditions, doubling as ground cover and protecting gear. When it comes to a basic repair and survival kit, this is where a little planning goes a long way. You're going to want a multi-tool that includes a solar-powered LED light. Why? Because if something breaks down in the dark, this lets you make repairs without giving away your location. Make sure your kit includes basic bike repair tools if you're on a bike, or simple gear fixes if you're walking. For example, paracord is lightweight, strong, and multi-purpose, serving as a repair tool, shelter tie-down, or even a way to secure items to your pack. And remember, a basic first aid kit is a must. You never know when a blister, cut, or small injury could turn into a big problem on a long journey. Include things like blister pads, antibiotic ointment, and a few bandages. Food and cooking equipment are essential parts of your pack. Choose lightweight, high-calorie foods that deliver lots of energy without taking up much space. Protein bars, dehydrated meals, and other non-perishable items are perfect for this. If you're planning to cook, a smokeless stove is a smart choice. It provides warmth and lets you prepare food without creating visible smoke that could give away your location. Cooking over an open fire might seem convenient, but in an emergency situation, it's a beacon that can draw attention. Stick to foods that require minimal prep and cooking time, like instant rice or oatmeal, saving both fuel and resources. Let's also talk about clothing and footwear. It might seem basic, but when you're covering long distances, the right gear can make a huge difference. Your clothing should be durable and suited to the season, allowing for easy layering. In cold conditions, you'll want to add layers. And in the heat, you need something breathable that keeps you cool. Consider moisture-wicking materials to prevent chafing and discomfort from sweat. A sturdy, waterproof pair of boots is crucial for foot protection and stability. Wet feet can lead to blisters, infections, and a whole list of other problems. Packing an extra pair of socks is a good idea too. Changing into dry socks can do wonders for foot health, especially on a long journey. An extra set of lightweight gloves and a hat can also be invaluable for temperature regulation and avoiding sunburn or frostbite. Alright, now let's dive into some safety tips. When you're moving without a vehicle, especially over long distances, you need to stay sharp and be prepared for anything. Situational awareness becomes your best friend. So, let's go over some ways to stay safe, alert, and prepared. First, let's talk about travel tactics. Staying silent and keeping a low profile is critical, especially in a world where you don't know who you might run into. Start with your gear. Secure anything that rattles or makes noise. You'd be surprised how much even a loose buckle or zipper can give you away. Wear low-profile clothing that blends with your surroundings and avoid reflective surfaces on your gear. When you walk, take your time and keep your movement steady. Moving slowly and deliberately is better than rushing and causing unnecessary noise. If you're traveling with a group, consider rotating the point person to keep everyone fresh and observant. A rotating leader lets each person take turns being the primary lookout, which helps everyone stay more alert and reduces the chance of missing something important. If you're in an area where you're worried about running into trouble, you might want to think about some decoy techniques. For example, if you're on foot, you could leave a few false footprints leading away from your actual route to throw off anyone who might be tracking you. Leaving misleading tracks, footprints, or other small clues in a different direction can give you a head start and create a safer travel path. You could even create temporary obstacles like brushing over your tracks with a branch to make it harder for anyone to pick up on your trail. Another essential part of situational awareness is understanding environmental hazards. Each terrain has its own unique challenges. For example, if you're in a forested area, you have to watch out for wildlife and know when certain animals are most active. Different animals are more active at different times of day, so knowing the diurnal rhythms or day-night activity cycles of local wildlife can help you avoid surprise encounters. If you're traveling through a desert, staying alert to weather changes, heat levels, and potential sandstorms can make a big difference. And don't forget, local plant life can also be dangerous. Some plants are toxic to touch or eat, and others can give you a rash or worse. Do your research on the local environment before setting out. If you're near bodies of water, be aware of risks like flash flooding, waterborne diseases, and slippery rocks. This is going to be very exhausting mentally. Traveling long distances under stressful conditions can be incredibly challenging, and not just physically. Keeping up your morale is just as important as maintaining physical strength. One effective approach is to set small, manageable goals each day to help you stay motivated. For example, aim to reach a specific landmark by noon or set a target distance to cover before taking a rest. Practicing mindfulness techniques, like deep breathing or taking a moment to focus on your surroundings, can also keep you grounded. These methods help reduce stress, sharpen your focus, and prevent burnout, giving you the mental stamina needed for a tough journey. Even something simple like taking a few minutes to appreciate your surroundings or reminding yourself of your end goal can do wonders for your motivation and focus. So, as we bring this to a close, let's step back and consider what we've covered. Traveling long distances without a vehicle after an SHTF event isn't just a physical challenge, it's a true test of your survival skills, endurance, and mental grit. When you're forced to rely on yourself, every step, every decision, and every piece of gear becomes crucial. It's about having the ability to stay adaptable and think ahead, making the most of what you've prepared and what's around you. The key is being ready to handle the unexpected with resilience, flexibility, and practical knowledge. With the right preparation, the right tools, and a well-thought-out plan, traveling on foot or by bike, or even with animal transport, is entirely doable. It's not easy, but it's achievable, and that's what survival is all about. Think of this skill as your ultimate backup plan, something you have in your pocket for when everything else fails. Knowing how to cover long distances without modern transport is one more layer of protection, one more step toward true self-reliance. If you found this guide helpful, please go ahead and like this video, subscribe to Reliable Prepper, and follow us on Facebook for more in-depth survival tips, strategies, and updates. We're building a community here of like-minded folks who want to be ready for anything. Stay safe out there, stay prepared, and I'll see you in the next video.